So Call of Duty, they're trying something new, aren't they? Right? They're trying something really, really new. It's called realism. I feel like in regards to Call of Duty, that's gone out the window for a number of years. And just last night, I was playing Blops 4 again, and I have a lot of fun playing that game. I like the blackout mode. I like the multiplayer modes. I think it's a fun, tight shooter. And you know what? No single player campaign didn't impact my enjoyment of it at all. That being said, I'm very curious to see what Call of Duty Modern Warfare is going to be bringing to the table this October when it comes out, considering the fact that at E3, the year this game comes out, we got no footage. We got a couple screenshots that came out, right? We got a couple screenshots. We got a description of a problematic scene involving a sweep and clear of a particular terrorist cell stronghold in London. And a lot of people are upset about some of the moral gray areas that are going to be showcased in this particular game, but we got nothing. And that is odd, isn't it? Isn't it super weird, super odd, super crazy that Activision, which recently just lost Bungie and even Black Ops 4, I don't believe met a lot of the sales expectations that they had hoped it would, or maybe it did. I'm thinking of Blops 3. It doesn't even really matter. No one really talks about Black Ops 4 anymore. Even the Battle Royale mode, while fun, doesn't get a lot of play that it used to. But it is weird, isn't it, that you're not seeing any kind of video footage coming out of E3. Maybe they're holding off for Gamescom, but there's not even a trailer. And if there is a trailer, I missed it. And I watched all the press conferences. You figure it would have been front and center on Xbox, as Activision has worked with them in the past, and there was no Sony to come in and pay for that exclusivity. That is the weirdest thing to me. But that being said, what they showed behind closed doors is intriguing to the point of where I want to know more. And maybe that was the point. Maybe by them taking on a more mature route with this particular game, with Infinity Ward kind of adopting more of a no Russian scenario for this particular title, this soft reboot of the Modern Warfare franchise, we are going to get something that is woefully different, or just crazily different than the Call of Duty's ever offered us before. And I am somewhat excited for that, right? Because the demo in question, what they showed was a team going into a home in London, going in through, I believe, like the bottom floor, going up to the top. And the way it was described, the way that I read the preview, is that like a typical Call of Duty player would basically run through and could clear the home in less than a minute. And if you ever watched anyone kind of play Call of Duty, you know that they generally tend to speed run through these levels because there's no real reason to look around, explore, and plan. There's no reason to prep because it's just get to the next battle zone, combat area, fight, do your thing, and at the end of the day, waste a few hours in multiplayer. And that's fine. That's what they've done for years. But this is taking a bit more of a realistic, nuanced approach to sweep and clear. It's a small team. You go in there, you encounter enemies. The enemies see you. They're scrambling over tables and desks and chairs, trying to get to their guns. They basically go out like you're watching the final scene from Zero Dark 30, where they storm bin Laden's compound in Pakistan. And then at the end of it, this is where I think a bit of the moral ambiguity comes into play, where there's a woman taken hostage by one of the terrorists. They pop the dude in the head. Turns out that that's like that chick's husband or something. She then grabs a rifle and then they gun her down. It's meant to be a shock value moment of anyone can be a terrorist, if you always have to be on your toes in these situations, and not everyone who is in trouble is a good guy. And it's hit or miss. Some places have argued that it's a flimsy attempt at shock value. Others have argued that it's too ambiguous. It's too terrible. It should not be done. It's going to ruin the name of Call of Duty. I look at it more like this. It sounds cool to me, man. It does. It sounds cool to me. I'm 100% okay with seeing what happens in regards to Call of Duty if this is the route that they want to take. A more mature Call of Duty seems fine to me. You know, I mean, as much as I enjoy some of the single player campaigns, they've gotten to this point now where you literally, like, was it Advanced Warfare? Or Infinite Warfare, you go to space, you know, like you're going to space. There's a map where like low gravity. Then that's fun. And that's all fine and dandy. It's big, high concept, tent pole action type stuff. But think of it like this. Look at this comparison. What if it's like going back to the drawing board, kind of like Resident Evil 7 was? Now, I mean, look at Resident Evil as a franchise. It started off horror survival. Then it kind of went into this weird action-oriented horror survival game with more of an emphasis on action than horror survival. Then they decide to go back to the drawing board. They go back and they give us Resident Evil 7, and it's first-person horror, and it's scary, and it's intimate, and it's intense, and it's very toned down, but it was a hit. It was a success. People loved it. I think that is the approach that Infinity Ward is trying to do here. It's going to give us more close quarter combat. It's going to give us more morally ambiguous choices. There's even a dialogue tree, apparently, that's going to allow you to influence how certain scenes play out, almost like Call of Duty, the RPG, which, again, is a very fascinating concept that they want to add that into the game. So when I look at what they kind of break down for Call of Duty, I can't help but think to myself, yeah, man, like, that's kind of dope. Give us if it's a very tightly written story where there's consequences for actions, and if it's like a one bullet can drop you scenario, it kind of harkens back to the original like Ghost Recon games before they went, where they're at. And I can't wait to play Breakthrough. Like, oh my God, I can't wait to play that. But I mean, go back to like Ghost Recon, if you, not Future Soldier, cause that was nowhere like that, but like Ghost Recon 1, Ghost Recon 2, go back to like all those old games. And you can get a sense for what Call of Duty is doing here. They're trying to capitalize on that approach. And I think that's going to work out well for them. I really am anxious to see where this goes. I would love to be in a situation in this game where you are going in, taking on a terrorist cell, and you effectively are like low on resources. You're low on ammo. You've got to play it smart, and it requires tactics, and maybe not stealth per se, but definitely tactics and plans. That was something better than, remember Black Ops 1 in the first Black Ops game? You can get through the entire first mission, I think, with only firing one bullet at the time where you're prompted to fire the one bullet. You can get through the opening of that game without firing anything more than one shot. It was such an on-rails moment that really diminished the overall impact that game had, because it goes to show you that they really were just like going in for this experience of this on-rails shooter. This is what Call of Duty is kind of boiled down to, and it was really heavily mocked back in 2011 when it came out. Here we're in a situation where it appears, and I could be wrong, but it appears that they're toning it down, they're honing it in scale and scope, and they're trying to give you this very intimate, hard-hitting, perhaps even maybe Spec Ops The Line type situation. And that could be what revolutionizes, what reinvigorates the Call of Duty fan base. Maybe that's one of the reasons why the games have been dropping off in sales, because there's just nothing there that's super compelling outside of the multiplayer. And this type of intimate combat is going to be in the multiplayer as well. And that is something that's fascinating for me to hear about, because I don't think that they're going to do a battle royale mode. I don't think they are, which I guess it kind of makes sense. Not that Fortnite or PUBG are any less popular, I think. But there's so many people that are doing it at this point. Like, why include it if you don't need to? If you've got Blops 4, pop Blops 4 back in and play that sort of thing. I don't even think that the Firestorm mode in Battlefield 5 has even really hit its mark. Even though it's actually a pretty fun mode, it hasn't captured the imagination, because I guess battle royale modes don't belong in everything. But we'll have to wait and see what happens here. I'm very curious to see where things go. I'm very interested to see what they do with this. And I haven't been interested in a Call of Duty game as a whole for quite some time. I remember, I think the last time was Modern Warfare 2, because of how good Modern Warfare was. And then the fact that they took it to a very mature place with the No Russian mission, as well as detonating a nuclear bomb, I believe it was Los Angeles. They really ramped it up in regards to the type of storytelling that they wanted to put out there. And since then, Infinity Ward has not been the same, because those guys would have to go make Respawn. But it kind of feels like they're really tapping back into their roots as a company and trying to live up to what made Infinity Ward great as a developer. And again, very interested to see where it goes. But I leave it to you, your thoughts, your opinions. How do you feel this is going to really play out? Do you think it's going to be good, bad, the other? I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know down in the comments below. If you made it this far, type in COD in the chat so I know. Have yourself a great day, guys, and thank you for watching, and peace out.